Are the Giants interested in Tarik Skubal? We have some updates for the manager search and a player profile on Jacob Bresnahan. That's all coming up on Locked On Giants.
You are Locked On Giants, your daily San Francisco Giants podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Giants, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every single day. Happy Friday. My name is Alan Salz. On the show, we provide daily episodes Monday through Friday talking about the San Francisco Giants in a way that combines passion, analytics with the eye test, and a little bit of fun. I'm from the Bay Area, but I live in Sacramento now. I also host a show at Sacktown Sports 1140, the Alan Styles Show, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. So be sure to check that out as well. And I MC Sacramento River Cats games. All in all, I'm lucky enough to cover a team I've been a fan of all my life. Today, we're talking about the Giants and the possibility of trading for Tarik Skubal, the latest update on the manager search, and what that timeline looks like for Buster Posey. Also, a player profile on Jacob Bresnahan. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll win $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Download the app today. All right. So this report comes out. Happy Friday again, everyone. This report comes out from Jon Heyman, and the report is pretty crazy. Jon Heyman says, and this is via the New York Post, that Tarik Skubal and the Tigers are facing reportedly a difference of opinion, if you will, to the tune of $250 million. Now, today is not that day, but obviously there are some conversations being had as far as the possible lockout after the 2026 season and the idea that some of these teams just don't want to spend money, as the Dodgers, they don't mind spending money, and some of these other teams, and whether or not that fairness, that competitive fairness is where it should be. So this is an exact example of that. And in this situation, I would say teams like the Giants can benefit from it, because the Giants, I believe, would pay Tarik Skubal that money. And I think that we have every reason to believe that based on what Buster Posey has told us, not just recently, but throughout his whole tenure with the Giants. It's all about pitching. It's all about defense. I've been saying it ad nauseum on this show every single day. So there it is. Tarik Skubal, bring him home. Okay, bring him home. We got to be careful with the bring him home stuff, by the way. Look, he was born in Hayward. Shout out Hayward. But he went to high school in Arizona. He essentially spent his young life in Arizona. But we're going to claim him anyway for this exercise to bring him back home. We're going to claim him anyway. We tried to claim Aaron Judge. At least he was in California. We tried to claim Aaron Judge, but we are also going to try to claim Tarik Skubal. He's a two-time All-Star. He's a Cy Young winner, and he is about to turn 29, so he's not even 29 yet. His name has obviously been making headlines, and the big question that everybody wants to know is whether or not the Giants would be interested if he becomes available. The decision for the Tigers on their side would be, hey, we don't want to pay him. We don't want to pay him this money. There's a difference of $250 million. Somebody come in, give us what you need to give us, and then you go on to pay him. So there is no doubt in my mind that the Giants will be making calls about this. You know, the Hunter Greens of the world, who we just talked about too, they'll be making calls. Right. This is a good offseason for the Giants to be in the business of looking for an elite arm. Now, there's two questions right now. It's what the Giants are willing to pay and how many arms are they looking for, because that also affects what they'd be willing to pay. If they need just one arm, then maybe they throw the kitchen sink at Tarik Skubal. If they need two arms, maybe it's a Hunter Green and somebody else, and you can't pay that premium for Tarik Skubal. So those are the two differences in how they could approach the offseason and what they deem to be the best way to move forward. So I have a couple names here just to throw around. And y'all know I tried to tell you at the beginning of the week, I love doing this. And I got a couple names here that I'd be willing to give up for Tarik Skubal. And it's everyone. If your name is not Bryce Eldridge, you are on this list. Now, depending on who it is, that also will dictate how much you're getting, right? What do I mean by that? Well, if I'm talking about a Hayden Birdsong and Carson Seymour, somebody like that. You might need to give up a couple of those. No disrespect to Hayden Birdsong, but your Carson Seymours, your Carson Wisenhunts, your Keaton Wins, you might need to give up about 2-3 of those to get a Tarik Skubal. And I think on the other hand, Elliot Ramos would be a part of that conversation the same way it was with Hunter Green. A lot of people in the comments said, Alan, that's not enough. Elliot Ramos in a top 30 is not enough for Hunter Green. I hear you, right? We're just starting to go through these exercises. You'd probably need more. So if you need more for Hunter Green, what do you think you're going to need for Tarik Skubal? And this is where things get dicey. So it starts at Elliot Ramos. It starts at, I would say, a current big league arm. And I think the big name that would make people a little bit taken aback, and you'd probably have to do it anyway. I think the issue would be you're creating another hole, but the question would be Landon Roop. That would be the question, because I don't know that there's anybody here or any fan that wouldn't include Landon Roop in a trade for Tarik Skubal. The issue would be, well, you have Tarik Skubal. These guys can only pitch so many times, right? So you have Tarik, you got Robbie Ray, you got Logan Webb, but because you got rid of Landon Roop, I think some out there would say, I'd rather have Hunter Green keep Landon Roop than adding a Tarik Skubal. That's really just what flavor of ice cream do you like? Me personally, it's a really tough one. Watching Tarik Skubal do what he did, you might have to move Landon Roop and get it done. But the issue is, okay, well, you're going to have to find a low-level starter somewhere else, and hopefully that person or that pitcher is as good as Landon Roop. Landon Roop is on the upwards trajectory. He has been injured a little bit, so I don't know how much that lands into play. But let me put it to you like this. If Landon Roop was the holdup between getting it done, I would make sure that it gets done, because you would have, like I said, Elliot Ramos, Landon Roop. You could use a Blade Tidwell who's top 30, and then you give them, I would say, a top 10 prospect as well. Maybe two of them. I mean, this is Tarik Skubal we're talking about, and maybe it's a top 30, right? Or excuse me, maybe it's a top 10 in addition to that, and one of those those top international signings that we've discussed that are really early, 18, 19 years old. So it's going to cost you. Then you have to pay him, but we're not worried about that. At least I'm not. It's not my money, but it's going to cost you. Don't get me wrong. It will definitely cost you, but you would have a ridiculous one. You'd have, obviously, like I said, Logan Webb. Robbie Ray is at the back end of that. If you wanted to bring back Justin Verlander, I think Justin Verlander would say, oh, let's get it done, right? I'm a part of a ridiculous rotation. So you could have Logan Webb, Robbie Ray. Obviously, Tarik would be your ace, and Logan Webb would drop to the 2. Or if you want that respect, Logan's still the ace and Tarik is 2. I don't know that would be the case. And then after that, you would go Robbie or whatever kind of mid-level starter that you were able to find, right? Or do you empty the tank? Do you empty the tank on the prospects right now, even though you're just finally building it up? Do you empty the tank, and do you find a way to get Hunter Green too, right? Or somebody maybe a shade under Hunter Green? Is that what you do? And Luis Matos, guys like that. Hey, Grant McCrae's, hey, you guys are all, see you later. Drew Gilbert, we will see you later. And then you attack. Again, you can go the free agent route for dudes as well. So you don't have to trade for everything that you need. But the Giants, I can tell you right now, definitely are interested in the Tarik Skubal sweepstakes, the same way every other team that's trying to contend is, the same way every NBA team is interested in Giannis Antetokounmpo. But the difference is the Giants, I think, have the ability to be serious and to make the requisite calls and to move the requisite pieces and to pay the requisite money that they would need to pay. On the other side, I got some manager search updates for you. Been having some conversations, been doing some digging. So you don't want to move. If you're curious, what is going on with the Giants and that manager search? When is the news going to break? I'll tell you. Well, at least I'll try to tell you on the other side. More Locked On Giants coming up. This episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. Every day we make decisions, but on Prize Picks, being right can actually get you paid. Don't miss the excitement of this football season with Prize Picks, where it's good to be right. Playing Prize Picks is such a fun, simple way to add more excitement to football. You just pick more or less on player projections like Josh Allen's passing yards or Saquon's rushing touchdowns, and you're in the game. I love how quick it is. You can make your lineup in under a minute. My favorite part, Prize Picks just added stacks. So if I want to ride with the player, I can select their passing yards, rushing yards, and touchdowns all in one app. It's also fun to follow other players in the app and copy their lineups with one click. Also, the reboot feature, huge if your player leaves early and doesn't return. There's a special max discount promotion live on the board right now. Speaking of NBA, for the Golden State Warriors taking on the Los Angeles Lakers October 21st, Steph Curry is discounted to only needing more than half a point to win. Mix and match players from football, basketball, and baseball to build your dream lineup today. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use code LOCKEDONMLB to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $50 or your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONMLB for $50 in lineups after your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. So we've spent a lot of the week giving you all the information that we have just on the candidates, right? The possible candidates. And part of the reason we're doing that is because we haven't heard much as far as the Giants manager front and what's still going on. So I got some updates that I wanted to share with you as it pertains to what the Giants are trying to do and where this whole thing sits now that the Padres are in the mix, which is where Nick Hundley lives right now with his beautiful, beautiful family. So the ball, as far as I know, is still in Nick Hundley's court. It's a waiting game at the moment. There is a hierarchy, meaning a plan A, plan B. It's been reported that the Nick Hundley thing, Nick Hundley is the plan A, but they've interviewed different guys as well. So they have a plan B. They have a plan A minus, if you will. They have a couple guys that they definitely feel confident in as far as being the next leader and manager of this clubhouse and of this group. Buster Posey feels like there are some solid options that he has to pick from, and that's exactly why he brought them in. Right now, to be completely transparent with you, the biggest thing I'm trying to figure out as I'm, checking my phone throughout the weekend is the timeline of all this. Right. I think there's a chance that we find this stuff out this weekend. I might be at another pumpkin patch with the kids and the news might break. So we're essentially waiting. And I think the other part of this is they're worried. I don't know if worried is the right word, but whether or not they're worried about the Padres opening and if it's going to break, that Nick Hundley is going to talk to the Padres as well. You're balancing the amount of time he played with the Padres versus the relationship that he has with Buster Posey and the organization. So what does he deem more important? And as far as I've heard right now, like I said, I haven't heard specifically that he's interviewed with the Padres. And I guess as the old saying goes, no news is good news, because that would either mean the Padres aren't going to get him because he just decided not to manage, or he's more interested in the Giants role. So I think that's the big story this weekend. And it's been a couple days now, right? It's been a couple days now. I know as far as the Padres media and Padres fans, I know that they would be interested in a Nick Hundley. But if you just get out there and look up Nick Hundley Padres the same way you would do with Nick Hundley Giants, it's barren. It is not the same at all. So it's pretty clear that as of right now, there's nothing official when it comes to Nick Hundley and interviewing or having a conversation with the Padres. It might be assumed, and I don't know that it's a bad assumption, right? He's down the street, but there's nothing as official as Nick Hundley's in the building. Nick Hundley is a front runner. The Giants are basically trying to convince Nick Hundley to be the next manager of the Giants. So that's where kind of that sits. And like I said, I'm continuing to talk to people and try to get a feel on when this thing can break. But my gut feeling is soon. My gut feeling is soon, because there are other guys that the Giants could be interested in, that the Padres could be interested in, that the Braves could be interested in. So Buster Posey kind of needs to know. We've all been in that situation when you have a job. They give you a timeline based on when they have to make a decision and when you can make a decision because they have other candidates and everything is kind of held up. Now, they did talk to people, obviously, after Nick Hundley, but you're doing those interviews essentially hoping that the person that you actually want agrees. So I'd even say I want to know just so Buster can be as objective as possible going into these interviews with the other candidates, as well as Manassian and the whole front office crew, as well as the ownership. So those are the updates. Like I said, not many, but what I do know is the ball still seems to be in Nick Hundley's court, and they'd like to wrap this up fairly soon. So whether that turns into a, hey, now I don't know that there is a hard, hey, we tried to give you till Friday. What's your answer? Okay, cool. We're moving on. I don't know how that works. And it feels like Nick Hundley has a bit more leverage than other candidates when it comes to the Giants position. So that's going to be the push and pull as this thing goes deeper. I think once we see other names come off the board, that might put a kick into the pants of the Giants to say, hey, Mr. Hundley, where do you think this thing is going? So there is somewhat of an update for you on the manager front. I did want to also just talk about the chances, I guess, or what the line should be when it comes to Buster Posey and how this is viewed as a success and what that timeline looks like for success. There are some people that were already trying to put Buster Posey on the hot seat. I was not one of them. I am not one of them. But whoever you bring in, if you don't make the playoffs, let's say your first year, what does that look like for Giants fans? And I want you to sound off in the comments as well, and we'll get to them on Monday. Of course, we do the show Monday through Friday. But what does that look like for the Giants if you don't make the playoffs next season with your new manager? What does that look like for Buster Posey? How does the ownership group feel about that? Because you're going to spend more money. You've spent money. You're going to spend more money. You got this looming lockout, which there's nothing you can really do about. How does this thing unfold if they don't make the playoffs? And what is the new timeline? Because the timeline's been pretty short. Bob Melvin, a couple years. We'll see you. You didn't make the playoffs. They've gone on record saying we want to give these guys, the next person, as much time as possible. We want the next manager to be the manager for a very long time. But do you care more about that, or how much do you care about that versus the results? So are you going to look at it differently than you looked at Bob Melvin missing the playoffs because you've just gotten rid of Bob Melvin and after a couple years? So, hey, he's still fighting his footing. We're going to see how it goes because we don't necessarily want to move off of somebody quickly again. So he could have the same type of record as Bob Melvin, and does it get looked at differently because they don't want the narrative to be that the Giants are not committing to people, are not giving people enough runway, and that affects how candidates will look at the job. So hopefully we're not in that conversation. Hopefully they go get Tarik Skubal and Hunter Green and Kyle Tucker, and they make the playoffs and there's a parade and they win the championship. Hopefully that's the case. But if that's not the case, I do wonder how they will look at this compared to how they looked at it with Bob Melvin, because now they've been pretty open that we don't want this to be a really short stretch once again for the manager position and just for the idea of the organization. That's not who we are, but it is who they've been. So yeah, I'm not rushing them at all because you got to get it right. But either way, I mean, we don't know whether you get it right until they step in the building and you start winning games and continuing to win games, because we know they can win games early on in the season and at the end of the season. You got to win games throughout the whole season. You cannot have the Reds sliding in and taking the third wild card spot. That stuff, that's just unacceptable if you're the Giants and the type of money. Now, obviously the Mets can say that. A lot of teams can say that, but I don't care about the Mets. right? This is about the Giants and what they can do and what they haven't done these last couple years now, and it's more than a couple. One more segment with you. Everybody loves a player profile. How about the big lefty pitcher, Jacob Bresnahan? Let's close out the show talking about his path and when you might see him at Oracle Park. That is next on Locked On Giants. Don't move. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel has an offer you don't want to miss. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. Pick a bet, put down $5, and if it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. What I love about FanDuel, it gives me so many ways to play. I built parlays, tried player props, even followed the live lines during games. It makes watching football even more exciting when you got a little something right on the action. Whether you're a casual fan or love diving into the stats, FanDuel makes the game day experience so much better. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today and get started. One more segment with you on a beautiful, beautiful Friday. You might be listening to this over the weekend, so I hope you're enjoying your weekend. Let's talk about Jacob Bresnahan, okay? He goes 6'4", 195. He's the number 11 prospect in the Giants organization. He's 20 years old, and he's expected to join the big boys in 2028. Jacob Bresnahan is a left-handed pitching prospect in the Giants organization. He was born in 2005. Oh my goodness, I hate saying those dates, by the way. In Renton, Washington. He was originally drafted by the Cleveland Guardians in the 13th round of the 2023 draft. That's good for 398th overall. Out of Sumner High School in Washington, he signed for around $375K, which was considered an overslot contract for that draft position. The Giants in 2024, that July of 2024, acquired Bresnahan along with the player to be named later in a trade for, here's a name drop, Alex Cobb. After the trade, he was assigned to San Jose. Go check out a San Jose Giants game if you're in the area, though. It's a great time out there. A single A, and he got his start in the Giants system. This is what we're looking at when it comes to his tools and pitch mix. Bresnahan's fastball has been one of his key assets. He operates in the 91 to 94 mile per hour range and can touch 96 if you get him angry. That is on occasion. That fastball, and I love fastballs like this. I mean, I hated to face them, but the fastball and that riding action, that helps get hitters to generate chases, and that adds to the velo of a 94 mile an hour fastball with riding action like that can look 97, 98 to certain hitters. Trust me on this one. His secondary pitches also show promise. A changeup with fade. When it's on, it's been viewed as a plus pitch. Low 80s slider that's also developing with more consistency in 2025. The scouts really love the extension that he gets. Again, that long, lanky 6'4" delivery repetition, which is huge to be able to do the same thing over and over again, and athleticism that helps his stuff play better than the raw numbers. His performance, let's get into that. In 2024, he dominated in rookie ball. He led the ACL in strikeouts, 63 in 46 innings for Cleveland's affiliate. Then he joined the Giants. He did struggle. You got to, get a little different out here than when he was with the Guardians. Gets out to San Jose, and he struggled a bit, but some of that was that fatigue. That's happening a lot, by the way, with these young pitchers. And don't get me started on my get off my lawn or whatever, but I think that organizations and staffs are trying to figure out how to adjust to it. So, with that being said, in 2025, he had a strong outing, 8 strikeouts over 5 shutout innings, and his rankings overlook. McCovey Chronicles has him number 31 in the Giants system. He's on, like I said, the Giants top prospect list. He's number 11. Baseball America has him number 25 in the Giants system. He's got obviously plenty of strengths and upside. His projection, I know this is a big one for people, mid-4 starter with upside to improve with strength, pitch refinement, and consistency. He's only 20. He's 6'4", 195 at 20 years old. So you look at that. I'm not calling him Paul Skeens at all, but you look at some of these guys, okay, how much more room do you have to grow? Not just height, but also width, right? And also the strength and also things like that. So there's a while to go with Jacob Bresnahan to see whether or not he is going to be somebody that evolves into even the next form of Pokemon. That's to my millennials out there. The next form of Pokemon, if you will, to help the Giants in a couple years here. Like I said, he's got that good velo. He's got promise with the secondary pitchers. He's very young for the level that he's at. His control and walk rates remain inconsistent, though. That's on the other end, especially in full season settings. Transition from rookie to full season exposed him a little bit with the stamina that we've talked about. But like I said, he'll get bigger, he'll get stronger, and hopefully we'll be able to combat that. His secondary pitches aren't there, but we get there. Just got to continue to build consistency. Again, the name is Jacob Bresnahan, and he is number 11 on the Giants prospect list. And yeah, 6'4" pitcher that can touch 96 and does have a feel for those primary pitches. Is going to fill out at 20 years old in single A. Sign me up for that all day on Monday and twice on Tuesdays. And how about 3 times on Friday? Thank you for watching and listening to Locked On Giants. Be sure to follow me on social media at @the_Styles Files. Styles with an I. It was a really fun week with y'all. As always, be sure to like and subscribe on YouTube. Trying to run those numbers up and get the word out. If you know people that are looking for Giants talk, but it's the off season, I'm going to tell you this right now. I don't know if there's another Giants show that is cranking out episodes every single day, Monday through Friday. I'm about 95% sure that there's not. So we should be, and we want to be, the go-to place for you, specifically, obviously during the regular season, but even in the off season as well, and the postseason. But in the off season as well, we aren't stopping. Okay, we are not stopping. We will have more news for you as we get a little bit down the line, the winter meetings and things like that. But we have you Monday through Friday, and we're the only ones doing it like it. So appreciate you supporting us. Be sure to get the word out. Have a great weekend. If it's the weekend while you're watching, listening to this, I hope you enjoy your weekend as well. We will talk to you on Monday, and thank you for making Locked On Giants your first listen every day. For your second listen, find the all-night Locked On MLB Game Night, every game, every night until a World Series champion is crowned. Get local analysis on a national scale. Find MLB Game Night on Locked On MLB on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. We will talk to you on Monday. Until then, peace.